Hey everybody. So it's officially 10 a.m. If you can hear me, say what's up in the chat box. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Um, hey guys, so welcome to this free training about a method of lead generation that has long been the hidden gem of customer acquisition. And I'm also going to reveal why this method, while it's known, has been sorely undervalued and hopefully have some fun in the process. Um, so, so we've got a couple people on. Say what's up in the chat box if you can hear me. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm so excited to teach everybody this stuff, and if you're, um, so let's start with our agenda today. So this is how to use a loophole in typical lead generation to 10x your opt-in rate. We're going to deep dive into just the best kept secret for lead generation, opting in, the preface before you actually turn them into customers, and why it's the number one lead gen strategy, literally that nobody knows about. Number two, we're gonna talk about why marketing is, really only second fiddle in the band of sales, and who really is we're gonna crown a king. So we're gonna crown a first fiddle. So, and then also number three, how to give your clients what they want. It's the true definition of a win-win. And for all of you guys that stay to the very end, I'm gonna give you a free gift. So that's something to look forward to. So here are some fun facts about this lead gen strategy. It literally took this website. It increased its opt-in rate by a rate of 1,900%. Like, you just don't even hear stats like that. um, this this stat is that this particular lead gen strategy helped this company generate almost 30,000 leads and $1 million in revenue. Doesn't sound too bad for a day's work. The average of this strategy is shared nearly 2,000 times, which we'll get into shareable content and why that is an amazing piece on social media. But we'll have to hang in there. And then also, according to lead quizzes, the average lead capture rate is about 30%, which I would say that's even on the low side. Which that's kind of a big clue as to what we're going to talk about. And the last one is the top 4 stories on BuzzFeed in 2017 were all this type of, lead generation, but really it's just more of a customer acquisition, like how you get people into your web. So, earnings disclaimer, I need to mention this for the crazies of the world. That I discovered this method through a completely roundabout way that set me on this journey to geeking out all over this topic. I was not looking for this method, and you will not magically make money by watching this web class. You will, however, learn a new strategy behind lead generation, and it's up to you whether or not it makes a difference in your world. And if it does, I'd love to hear from you because I love the stories that go along with this lead generation because it's so awesome. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, who's this class for? So if you have an existing sales funnel, now for any funnel hackers in the audience, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but if you're unfamiliar with ClickFunnels, then that includes anyone who already has an existing customer acquisition method. Simply put, that's what a sales funnel is. It's a customer acquisition. So This is also, though, for people who in search of a new type of lead magnet. Are you tired of giving away your best stuff for free? Like I was too, and I finally found a method that enables me to get to know my customer and what they need without bribing them with my best information. Guys, at a restaurant, you will see that appetizers and desserts are comped pretty regularly as special gifts, but entrees are not. I mean, unless something goes like horribly wrong. But the point is that this strategy acts like an appetizer or dessert without giving away your entree. So when your customer comes back for more, you have more to give because you only gave them a taste. Does that make sense? And then third, this is also for people without a lead gen strategy at all. And you guys are lucky ducks to get started off with some dynamite. This method, if done correctly, can have some crazy, unparalleled results. So I've got a couple goals for this web class today. So before I get into the goals though, I want you all to know that I understand that lead generation is about a fair trade. It's what you have to give your customer in order for them to give you their email address. So I want you to learn how to make this trade without bribing your customer with your most valuable information and all the while giving your customer what they want. And you guys should know that when I wrote this script, there was a point where I was like, like I sound like everything is just too good to be true. But if you stick with me until the end, you'll not only get a free gift, but all this will make sense. So the second goal is the only place to learn all this stuff is through this web class, combined with the course I'm launching in the very near future called Quizzical. That might be a bold claim to make, but there is not a funnel in this web class that I don't believe couldn't be dynamically changed through this method. And I truly believe that. Like, I'll take a poll at the end to see how many believers we've got in the room. So I should start by introducing me and my background. I have a degree in marketing, which I openly say is useless, but we'll get more into that a little later. And I guess the more accurate word is irrelevant. But my real day-to-day is training horses. And besides that, I'm also a funnel hacker, an entrepreneur, a big dreamer, and an even bigger believer. Now, when I say believer, I don't mean it in the sense of religion. Now, there's not a problem with that, but I want to clarify that that's my belief in hard work. It's in the many, many mountains you climb before you reach the top. And the belief in myself for being able to make that trek. And then furthermore, it's my belief in the success that you could have by implementing what we talk about on this training. By the way, that's me and my horse Fuego in the video. Now, I know you all just thought, I thought this was a training on lead generation, and it is. But before I talk about that, I need to explain a very simple process that I actually discovered through training horses. So first, let me ask, does anyone know the main difference between humans and animals? Anybody in the chat box? Anybody have any guesses? Well, the answer is actually logic. So this is your brain without logic. Everyone tends to think of logic as a thought to determine the best course of action, but logic, simply put, is all of the processes is the process of having to choose between all of the thoughts that eventually get you to your answer. So horses are the brain on the left. Something happens and it evokes a reaction. Plain and simple, it's a one-to-one correlation. Humans are the brain on the right. This is your brain on logic. Something happens and there are many reactions we consider before choosing a path. Now, the term logic is misleading because it's not always the right choice per se, but the act of having to choose from multiple thought process is the act of logic. So are you guys understanding this concept? As humans, we're running in the animal kingdom because we have the ability to filter through options for a choice that we make versus animals' outcomes are just pure instincts. Now, I've trained horses of all ages and dogs and other animals as well, but the one thing all animal trading, and some of you that might recognize this strategy if you have kids under 3 years old, is that you cannot explain to them why what they did was wrong or right. You only have two values. You have their action and your reaction. Not even positive and negative come into play yet, because the reason any animal or child learns is through pattern recognition. Now, human children have an advantage because they eventually gain their logic, So when you put your kid on a timeout, you can eventually explain to them what happened to put them in that situation, therefore explaining the consequences. However, with your animal and your customers, you do not have that luxury. You have the first 5 to 10 seconds after every action to react and start to develop a pattern with your customer. And if done right, you'll create a positive one. So let's look at this concept in a real life situation. So one of the horses I currently train is 2 years old, and I've had him since he was first born. Side note, kids are way less dangerous. But throughout the couple of years I've had him, positive and negative reinforcement have been paramount in his training. Now, for the purpose of your customer, we're going to focus on the positive reinforcement because you'll never be smacking your customer because they kicked you. True story, by the way. So when this horse takes the right action, I make a big fuss and make sure he knows my reaction is one that he likes. And the same goes for your customer. Some of you may be picturing, petting your customer or telling them good boy or good girl. And while that's a funny image to laugh at for a second, that's really not the point. The point is that when your customer does an action that you like, you need to react in a way that creates a positive pattern. Is this making sense? Now, everyone would probably guess that good boy or good girl or the positive reinforcement comes directly after your customer gives you money. But what action happens right before you get that money? Any guesses? They click. That's right, they click a button. So this means that your customer needs to recognize a positive pattern when they click with you. And it's just common knowledge at this point that the second sale is easier to get than the first sale, which means that the second click is easier to get than the first click, and it's because they had a positive experience from the first click. Are you guys following me so far? So let's zoom out and look at your customers that have clicked with you once versus the ones that have clicked with you more than 10 times, because I know the ones that have clicked with you 10 plus times have spent more money with you, unless every time you got them to click, you offered them free stuff, which if you said yes in your head to that, everyone in this training is going to agree that you're leaving money on the table. So as you can see though, there is a positive and direct correlation between the number of clicks and the amount of money. So let's review really fast the concepts that we've talked about so far. So 1, training happens through a positive pattern recognition. Number 2, your customers need to be trained to click. And then number 3, the more clicks your customer does with you, the more money you're going to make in the long run. And so I know what you're all thinking, that sounds fine and dandy, but how do I apply this to the business world? And this applies to you. This applies to you because the easiest way to do all 3 of these bullet points in one easy, simple action is through quizzes. Now, there's an entire psychology behind quizzes that I'll be deep diving into in the course that I'm creating. I'm in the process of building. And at this moment in time, we're just going to establish why quizzes are so powerful. So let's say, for instance, you have an 8-question quiz with an opt-in for email. So by the end of the quiz, your customers clicked with you 10 times. 8 questions, 1 data entry, and a submit button form. So by the end of the quiz, you give them the answer that they're seeking. Now, given that so many people talk about how much easier it is to get from the first sale to the second sale, or the first click to the second click, imagine how much easier it is to get from the 10th click to the 11th click. So there's 2 main categories of quizzes. One is called a personality quiz, and that reveals an identity to your customer. And then the other one is called a knowledge test, and that's going to literally test your customer's knowledge on whatever topic that your quiz is about. So a couple of key things happen through the quiz process. These are your lead gen benefits. So 1, your customer's already clicked with you 10 times already, which places them in a prime situation to keep going. And then number 2, your customer was also given an answer they desired through your quiz, which starts to create a positive reinforcement pattern with your customer that you can then build on from here on out. Now, there are also marketing benefits. The first one is you now have your customer's email address to add to your list, which is, basically every business's main and most valuable asset. Number 2, because of the questions you put in your quiz, you also now know which segment of your market they're in and exactly what to retarget them with your ads. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a little later. And then number 3, they're already in the habit of clicking with you. Yeah, that made it on both lists. So that's some serious firepower, guys. I mean, through one quiz, not only did your list get bigger, but now you know exactly what product would best suit your customer. And as an added bonus, anyone who finished the quiz has already clicked with you a handful of times. You know how I know this stuff works? Because many of you are here took my What's Your Marketing Grade quiz, and you wouldn't be here without that quiz. So this also shows you that I practice what I preach. I drink the Kool-Aid. And based on the numbers, guys, I would be an absolute fool not to. Which brings us actually to secret number 1 of quizzes. Are you guys ready to get into the good stuff? Yeah. All right, secret number 1. So this is a lead gen tool that easily 10x's your numbers while increasing quality. So I'm going to tell you some just cold hard facts real fast. So if you type into Google search the average opt-in rate, you get a disturbing number range of 1 to 5%. And for you fellow funnel hackers out there in the audience, Julie Stone, a well-respected marketer and funnel builder, in a presentation she did in a conference in Arizona, confirmed this stat as a way of knowing that your funnel's on the right track. But when you look at quiz stats, it literally makes your jaw drop. Not only is the average opt-in rate actually about 50% or higher, but if you look at, BuzzFeed's top 5 stories, 4 of them are quizzes. So again, powerful concepts. Not only do quizzes execute at a minimum of 5x, but have the potential to 10x or higher your opt-in rate. But more importantly, you also have the potential to create shareable content. And in the social media world, that is absolute content dynamite. So I have a question for everybody. Would you rather pay Facebook to run a lookalike audience campaign or create amazing shareable content that potentially your customers could share on your behalf for free? We all know how the Facebook algorithm favors highly shared content. So imagine boosting a post that's already been shared 100 times for friggin' free. Now, to create shareable content is going to be something we deep dive in on the course I'm creating, but it's too big of a topic to cover right now. But I am pretty sure that the answer is unanimous on this would you rather. Which brings us to secret number 2. Because in order to make your content share-worthy, it has to follow a proven pattern. Now, this pattern has been studied by marketers, but it is why I say a marketing degree is irrelevant, among other reasons. But getting people to travel from question to question is not marketing, it's psychology. So, humans have been studying ourselves and everything since the dawn of time. And there's a philosophy term that stuck with me since my sophomore year in college. And let's not admit how long ago that was, but long enough for it to stand out. It's called the affiliation theory. And it's the driving theory behind why humans want an explanation for everything. As a result, it always leaves us searching for answers, whether we know it or not. This creates an opportunity for you to tap into that desire and create something that guides your customer to the answer they seek, aka your product. Are you guys seeing how powerful this stuff is? Like, when done correctly, you can not only give your customers an answer they're already searching for, but when done right, you become the solution to their problems. Which actually leads us to secret number 3. We need a drum roll. Which is creating the truest form of a win-win situation by not only giving your customer what they want, but also getting you what you want, which I think we all know is money. So I know So I think you all know where I'm going with this, because by giving them the gift of discovery through your quiz, you can then seamlessly provide the solution that they seek from the results of that quiz. Like, they literally told you what they want. And I actually have a bonus secret for you guys. Now that you know exactly who your customer is and what they want, you can pre-segment your audience when you're in your marketing and market directly to your customer based off of the knowledge they already willingly gave you. So imagine you have a line of fitness clothing and you have a quiz that helps your customer like determine if they were a piece of equipment in the gym, which one would they be? Your quiz would start with, gender, maybe fitness level, soon going into identifying what type of workout they prefer to do or not to do. For me, I always like to have, I would have, there would have to be an answer if I took this quiz that was like, I like the idea of going to the gym, but I don't actually want to be there. Oh my gosh. If I took this quiz, my answer would be like, you're the gym towel. But anyway, by identifying the fact that I like working out, but I do not like going to the gym, you can now know that I like athletic wear is like maybe comfortable everyday clothing, but you're not going to advertise weightlifting gloves to me or a shirt that says like I live, breathe, and worship dumbbells. And so just from answering a few short questions, and when I make my quizzes, I generally like to put in funny answers just to keep up engagement. But you now know a ton about me and who I am as it pertains to your products, again, the fitness. So, and similarly, since it's clear I don't go to the gym, it's as powerful to qualify me as a lead as to unqualify me as a lead. And stop wasting your money showing me t-shirts to say I love the gym. So now I think I could safely say that we're all on the same page about this whole quiz thing. So is it okay with you guys if I ask, or if I tell you about the course Quizzical now? So people have been asking me for some of these quiz funnel templates, and I will say that they most likely will be a bonus in the course I'm creating. But if you absolutely cannot wait and you're just ready to plug and play, you can get my templates for $77, and then for $97, I'll throw in a 5-day email sequence, because it's equally important to stay relevant in your customer's mind after they take your quiz. Here's just some of the templates. I really like the Spider-Man one, just throwing that out there. But honestly, that would be only a fraction of what you would get if you wait for the course, which will be available very soon. You'll not only get the quiz funnel templates I just showed you and the email templates, but you'll also get thorough step-by-step instructions for the two main tasks of quiz building, which are psychology and execution. One being the psychology behind the quiz. Like, what do you actually ask? And then in what order? Because it really does make a difference. There's been a lot of studies on this, and we go through, why that psychology works. Number 2 is the actual execution behind the quiz. We will go step by step through the design in the front end to the functionality in the back end. For instance, how you use your Facebook pixel analytics, and so that you get the most out of your money that you spend on your quizzes, and then most importantly, how to share your quiz results on the back end so your quiz could potentially go viral. So number 3, after your quiz, module number 3, after your quiz is completely set up and ready to go, we talk a bit about traffic and advertising options and some best practices, plus some secrets I've discovered along the way that you really won't want to miss, because Facebook advertising is a beast all in and of itself. And while there are tons and tons of people out there saying they know exactly like how to Facebook advertise, like every time you run an ad, you should be learning something new. It's just how, it's such a beast. But module number 4, we're also going to be deep diving into split testing, how you can fine tune your quiz funnel through running some really interesting tests. And then lastly, after you've built and started running traffic and fine-tune your quiz funnel, we have our module on what to do after it's up and running, whether it be analytics or next steps. We like to, there's a lot of different topics in there, but I like to leave it open-ended because this end of the road. It's not even the end of the road. It's a fork in the road. Everybody could go down a different path. So this course is due to come out very, very soon. And I'll only have the bandwidth to take on as many clients as time allows. So if you want to secure your spot, then in this video, the link to this video, the description, you will find 2 options below when the training ends and the video gets posted. Actually 3. Number 1 is the pre-built funnel templates that you'll be able to access directly after we end this training. Number 2, you can add your name to the top of the Quizzical course list, so you can be the first to deep dive into these materials. I know you can only get in one place. And actually, the 3rd link is that free gift that I told you about. That'll be available in the description. So pick accordingly, folks. So I just want to take a moment to thank everybody for coming out today, and I've absolutely loved talking and teaching you all about this stuff. I hope you can hear it in my voice how much fun I actually had during this web class. So I don't know, anybody have a I said I would take that poll. So how many quiz believers do we now have in the room? Anybody in the chat box? So I'm looking forward to seeing you all when I launch my course. So until then, let's get quizzical. Just gonna sing for you guys. So I'll stand for a bit to answer any questions you might have about quizzes, funnels, or anything else in that nature. And I'd love to hear what you all thought about the training, because there's only one way to improve in life, and that's from constructive criticism. So I'll stay on in the chat box for another 5-10 minutes. So looking forward to hearing from you guys. So, Daniela, you just asked, do the studies you referenced indicate a certain type of quizzes are more effective for particular industries? And that's a really interesting question, because although I will say that they don't necessarily reference industry specific. It's not like, oh, this one quiz works for this one industry. They more talk about the wording in the quiz, and then also the order of the questions, regardless of industry, is paramount, because all quizzes that go viral, or insert, or that are very popular, they all follow a certain pattern of between self-identification to then identifying like a problem. So in terms of industry, it's not necessarily industry specific as much as it is like following the psychology of how quizzes actually work. Um, but that is a really interesting question. If there was, um, and actually, I will say that one really interesting fact I keep like reading about quizzes is that a lot of quizzes, like a lot of the most viral quizzes, have this sort of framework. So it's can we guess your blank by you telling us blank? So like sorry, that may not have made sense in a blank form. So let me think of an example. It was, can we guess your? They were really. Some of them were really weird too. Like, can we guess your eye color from where you went on vacation last? It was but and that one, I don't even think that's actually the exact wording of it. But that's like the new form of quizzes that like people are really fascinated in. Can the quiz guess your blank from you establishing blank? So I think that's actually that's a pretty fun concept because it's can we guess, right? So like you don't even have to be right. And the most important part is that people actually take the quiz. That was a great question. You're very welcome. Any more questions? If not, we can sign off. And there's a Facebook page called Marketing Fundamentals. If you have any questions, you can always DM me directly. And also, like I said, this video is going to be up, so the playback will be available as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And looking forward to looking forward to deep diving on this topic on the course. All right. Bye.